Welcome to Reach the World ASAP. My name is Pastor Scott Griswold, working with ASAP Ministries, and I'd like to introduce you to a special friend of mine. This is Khanh. We call him Pastor Khanh around here because he's got a big family, a congregation like of people that are his children. We're in the Vietnamese Feed and Read School that ASAP Ministries supports right here in Phnom Penh City of Cambodia. And a lot has been happening this morning. It's been a very, very busy time. Having the children fill out, write thank you cards to their donors, having them write notes of love to their parents, just enjoying being together, doing crafts, singing songs, telling stories. It's been a lot of fun. But I want Brother Khanh to share with us a little bit about his story and how this place came to be. How long have you had a school right here in the city?
We have our school around 11 years in the city, but first I came to Cambodia as a Bible worker, and my main job is to evangelize for the Vietnamese in Cambodia. And when I first come to Cambodia, I try to look for the Vietnamese, and I try to evangelize for them, teach them Bibles, but I find out that they couldn't read or write, and I said that, then how can I go and how can I teach them Bible? And they don't understand Khmer or Vietnamese either. So I'm thinking that I should open a Vietnam language class. And
just a class, not a school, just a class.
To teach them to read, and through their reading, then I can teach them Bible. And when I first announcement, I have around 10 children come to want to study Vietnam language, and that's how we start.
Okay, so you started with 10 students, and now it has grown to how many students and how many teachers?
300 students
300.
And 16 teachers.
16 teachers, that's
and
amazing.
This 16 teachers, 10 of those who have come first, they become teachers.
All right, so I've been interviewing and talking with some of these teachers, wonderful people, with amazing stories of their own. When Yung was a little girl, she lived out in the countryside with her father and mother. Life is not easy in the rice fields and where you're just surviving from season to season trying to make it. So her mother did what many other mothers have done, and that is she went looking for work in the city of Phnom Penh. As a Vietnamese family, it was not easy to find that work, but finally she located a job and called her husband and her daughter to come and join her. There they were in the city the first time. She could not read or write Cambodian or Vietnamese, and they were looking around. What would they get to do? What could they find? They found a little school, a Seventh-day Adventist school in Vietnamese language, our Feed and Read school that ASAP sponsors, and she began to study. Every day she'd come into one of these classrooms and begin to learn and be excited to be able to write for herself for the first time, to be able to read those books in her own language, as well as learning what her many Cambodian friends could do with their language. As she learned, she heard some new things she'd never heard in her home. She heard about Jesus. Now the stories that she heard were beautiful. They were meaningful. They gave hope and life and joy to her. There was a God who loved her, a God who had given everything to die for her. And so Yung began to love Jesus Christ. Now the thing about it is that in her home, her father and mother were very strict members of the How religion. Now, I don't know much about it, but it was strict. And her mother, when she found out her daughter was starting to believe in Jesus, said to her, Yung, you better not tell your father. He will kill you. Well, time went by, and Yung just could not hide the love for Jesus that was springing up in her heart. And eventually her father found out. He was mad, but no, he didn't kill her. He just began to threaten her and tell her, no, she must not do that. This is not part of the family. This is not what she should do. But she couldn't help it. Jesus was too special. Jesus was everything to her now. And she decided she would stay firm in her commitment to Christ. Well, 8 years passed by. Time went by, and she began to teach in the school. Right away, even earlier than that, she was a teacher's assistant until now today. Though she is still finishing high school, this year she hopes to be done, she has been teaching grade 5 for a long time. Kids love their teacher. They learn so much from her. But most of all, they're learning about Jesus, the Jesus that was so important to her that she was willing to stand up to her father and mother. And guess what? Because of that commitment, because of her love for Christ, her father and mother now attend different programs at the school. They're not Christians yet, but their hearts are open. Jesus loves each of us, and he wants everyone to have that opportunity to know him. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Ewan, for what you're doing for Jesus as you love and care for these children. What is their life like? What is the life of the typical student that comes here?
Most of them they came to Cambodia because they have a very hard life. They couldn't have, a very difficult life. They cannot get any living in Vietnam, and they have to make a new way. And they know that come to Cambodia, it's not easy life, it's dangerous, but they have no choice. And come to Cambodia is a last choice.
I just had the privilege of listening to the stories of these two special young people who are studying at our Vietnamese feed and read school here in Phnom Penh, Cambodia. One on far over here, the girl, the young lady here, she grew up in a family with 5 brothers and sisters, and their home was a happy home. They had a lovely home until the father died. I don't know for sure what, but it may have been HIV. Anyway, she was able to look around, try and figure out what to do with her life, and her mother was able to find this Seventh-day Adventist school to put her into school. At first, her mother was happy to do that. She thought that was really important. The oldest of 5 children, she knew she needed a good start on education. But as life got harder and harder for the mother, she wanted to pull her out. But Juan would not have anything to do with it. By then, she'd gotten a taste of education. She loved math. She loved history. She loved learning about Jesus. She just loved her school and the friends that she had made there. So Juan just kept pleading with her mom, "No, Mom, please let me go to school." Now, on the other hand, Fu did not feel that way about school. Fu started out a bit rougher. His family was not a happy family. It was pretty rough. In fact, he said much of the time he was living on the streets. Well, while out there, he began to get into trouble, playing games a lot and stealing. He would steal money wherever he could. His parents were pretty upset about that, and they would scold him, but you know, life was sad. Life was not very easy. It was pretty tough. And it got even worse when his father passed away from having AIDS. That was devastating to the family, but it still didn't wake him up. He was still playing games. He was still not interested in school. I think by then he'd been sent to the school and was supposed to be learning, but he was still stealing and causing real problems. Without a dad, without a father, where's the protection? Where's the leadership, the guidance that a boy needs? But God was still working, and was going to work in a very special way. As he realized that his mother had contracted HIV from her husband, his heart just sunk. He began to really, really be worried for her and began to do what he'd been learning at school, and that was to pray to God. As he began to realize that his family was in trouble, he knew the only answer was to get help from this mighty God that he was beginning to love. And so just a few minutes ago, Fu said, "When I am sad, when I am hurting, when my heart is breaking, I talk to God and he makes me happy again." I am very happy. But he says the thing that made me really sad was when I saw Jesus on the cross, that they had killed him, they were hurting him, that he was dying. It made me so sad, and I determined I would never give up my faith in him. It is a real joy to see these children studying in 6th and 7th grade in our Vietnamese Read and Feed school, having a future, a hope. In fact, she said, even though I don't have a father, now I have the protection of the school, where children are fatherless, where they have nobody to depend upon in this world. They have God, and that is enough. May you and I find ways that we can also be a father to the fatherless, a friend to the widow, and care about those in need through the very real and tangible help of Christian education. So many of them come from poverty, difficult situations, move to the city, and this is giving them a future. What might be happening to the young girls, the young teenagers, if they were not in the school?
Most of them, they work in the bar, or the girl will likely doing some kind of like prostitution. For the boy, they do some laboring work, and that is
So
automatically it's going to be like that.
by having your school here, educating these young people, you are literally keeping them out of slavery, prostitution, a very difficult and tough life.
Yes, and give them more hope for the future.
That's exciting. So are many of them coming to belief in Jesus Christ? I mean, they come from Buddhist backgrounds, other religions. What's happening to their faith as they come to school?
They do have pressure from the parents, even from the friends, from the people around in the community. And I feel the same. I feel the same that the people in the community give them pressure because they are now different from the people. They are not worship to the same religion in the community, but now they become Christian.
So many of the young people are becoming Christians.
Yeah, and some other people in the community know that they become Christian. They are like don't want to make friends with them anymore. Or, but these young people, they stand for their faith.
Well, that's fantastic. That's really, really exciting. You're in 3 different buildings across from each other, but you're located in a good place in town for this to happen. What are your dreams? What are your hopes? What would you really like to see happen for these young people you're working with?
My hope is they get education, especially they know about God. And my vision for the future, we want to spread more good news to the Vietnamese community in Cambodia. We have a big job to do. We need to train these young people for Jesus, for God, for His kingdom.
That's fantastic. If you invest in people, that's more important than any building, anything else you could do. Raise them up, let them serve God, and the huge difference we made. I really thank you for what you've done. I know we pray for you often, and we will continue to pray. And I invite those who are listening to really pray for the Vietnamese Speak and Read School, for Pastor Khanh here, for his heart, his vision, that it may just grow stronger and stronger, not just in numbers, but in quality. And remember that you can be involved in this by sponsoring a child for $20 a month. It can make a huge difference in their lives. And I'm just thrilled that together we can be a part of this, and together we can reach the world ASAP.